on that one out of the game.
That'd be a nice start.
Waiting for the tweet. I'm sure they can hear me. And then hit mute. I don't really care. There it is. There's the tweet. We are back Monday, December 10th. Taking a look at the lovely LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, 15 all narrative, which is not a thing whatsoever. Sorry, Pawan, but no one cares that they're 15-15 against each other and head-to-heads. Hope everybody had a good weekend, whether that was in the NFL, the NBA, or you just took a break, which is probably the best thing you can do on a Saturday and Sunday. Adam, what's going on?
Not much, man. Kind of relaxing weekend. I didn't really play that much, and it was the first weekend I'd kind of taken off in a while, so pretty nice. Ready to get going again this week.
Yeah, I'm ready to dive in. I'll be around for 4 of these days, so it should be fun.
Working hard this week.
Yeah, oh well. I always do. But not this weekend, that's for sure.
There you
go. 10 gamer? 2? 4?
11.
Fuck me. 11 gamer. You know, we just won't count the Nuggets Grizzlies.
I woke up 5 minutes ago and I already know how many games there are.
I don't ever check, clearly. Nuggets Grizzlies doesn't count. That's a terrible game for fantasy. As usual, we are brought to you by Thrive, thrivefantasy.com. If you want to join, go to bit.ly/ThriveStrat. We will be going over some of our favorite Thrive props at the end of the show. God, I really love doing that. It's so much fun. I need to create like a scoreboard for us so that we can track them every day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we need to do that. Maybe I'll do that today. We also have 24 days of giveaways going on. If you like and comment on this video, you have the opportunity. What's our new giveaway? You have the opportunity to win a free month subscription to the sport of your choosing, or a piece of merch from our new merch shop, shop.awesemo.com. Get all sorts of fun gear. So all you have to do, like and comment on the video. What should we have them comment? What would be a good comment for today? Okay, I've got one. Go ahead. But go ahead. I want yours first.
I was going to say most ridiculous NBA narrative.
Okay. I was just going to go with Dwayne Wade's fantasy points today and see how many people are guessing 23. But yes, like and comment today with the most ridiculous NBA narrative. I like that one. Drop your narrative in the comments. Can't comment until the video is over. Chat does not count. So once the video ends, you'll have the ability to comment and then go ahead and do that. You ready to take a look at this slate?
Yeah, let's go.
Whew, 11. We're going to be here a while. Buckle in, folks. Hope your coffee's ready. Or
our
Adam's
11
mug of beer.
Kind of go like the same length as our 4 game shows.
Yeah. Well, what we've learned is that we know how to cut the fat off of a big one, but we feel like we could just say whatever on like a 6 gamer.
Right.
Yeah. Indiana and your Washington Wizards, 110.5 implied total for the Pacers, 104 for the Wizards. What are you doing with John Wall? Because as of right now, I have him out.
I don't think he plays.
Okay.
It would just, I have no idea, obviously, but I'd be surprised if he plays.
Okay. Because that's obviously a major caveat in Wizards analysis. I mean, in a way. It's either you're playing a couple guys or you're not. There's a pretty clear line in the sand. So let's start on the Pacers side first. Pricing on FanDuel significantly better at the top than it is on DraftKings, whether that's Turner, Sabonis, Thad Young, Collison, Bojan. All of these guys are better off. Turner is only $200 more expensive. Sabonis, $300 cheaper. Thad Young's is pretty neutral. Collison is $300 cheaper. Bojan is $500 cheaper. This is night and day. Are you liking anything from Indiana? I don't really have too much interest.
Those FanDuel prices, yes, because it's a big pace up spot for Indiana, but also a really, really poor rebounding Washington team, which we've obviously talked about at length at this point in the season. But you have Sabonis, who's a very good rebounder and who will be very productive in whatever minutes he plays. You have Turner, who has seen an increase in usage lately, been playing very well. His minutes have even trended up a bit in competitive games. So I think that, it's an appealing spot for him. Got over 30 minutes again against Sacramento. Granted, that is a game that they could have played bigger if they wanted to, but still you got 24 minutes for Sabonis. And 31, a little over 31 for Turner. So I think it's an appealing spot for Turner. Bogdanovich, revenge game against Washington.
Get that narrative in, people.
Yeah. But I mean, in all seriousness, I do think it's a good spot for him. This is a Washington team who just leaves wide open 3-point shooters constantly, like all of the time. Bogdanovich sees an increase in usage when Oladipo is out, and should just get plenty of open looks. So I think actually that given the position and given the price, you said he was 500 cheaper on FanDuel.
Yeah, he's 5,200.
Yeah, I mean, that's Bogdanovich is never a guy I get excited about, but if you're ever gonna feel good about rostering Bogdanovich, this is the spot.
Yeah, I agree. I did get 9% of him. He's at 7% in the public, so it's not like I'm taking some sort of crazy stand, but I do want to have like little bits of it because of sort of the price and efficiencies.
What's Collison on FanDuel?
66.
That's fine. I mean, his minutes have been up, production's up. It's just he's still clearly priced to where you need him to go have a good game, as opposed to most of the season where it's been like if he has any semblance of a good game, you're happy.
Yeah, him at 6,600 is a real tough sell for me. He has to go pretty bananas for that to work out for you on an 11 game slate.
Right. I end up getting him projected in like the low 30 minute or low 30 fantasy point range, which it means that he's going to be fine at that price a pretty decent percentage of the time, but he's pretty unlikely to like really blow it away.
Yeah, I have him at 26.3 right now. Over the last month, he's been a 0.94 fantasy point per minute guy. So if I do that and give him the 29 minutes I gave him, that's 27 fantasy points. I might be a little under on him, but I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I also had thrown him 34 minutes just to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, I'll have him projected for like 32, but I was just trying to see if there was like any way that I could make him a good a play that I really liked.
Gotcha. Corey Ballmer, Josh, do you just look at numbers and not even watch games? For baseball, yeah. For basketball, no. I love basketball. I love watching basketball.
Yeah. I mean, I think I watch baseball too. Like, baseball is my favorite sport. But yeah, I mean, I watch basketball. It obviously helps you pick up on stuff.
Yeah.
I think that at this point, like a couple of years ago, it used to be, basically it was really, really hard to win if you didn't watch basketball and you just looked at numbers. I think it's perfectly conceivable. Like if I had to choose watching basketball or just using information available now in NBA, I think it would easily be the data part.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for him because I don't know this for sure, but I'm going to go ahead and guess that Alex is not poring over game film.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and assume that is surely he'll watch basketball casually if it's on. It's not an avoidance thing, but you need to watch this sport. It's two different things. This is a math problem that is based on basketball. And sometimes people forget that.
I think like it used to be that there was a lot of significant stuff you'd miss out on if you didn't watch. Yeah. Now I think that where I at least find the most valuable stuff is just getting a better feel for guys that are kind of new into the rotation and seeing, and obviously you can find it in data too, but just kind of seeing how they're fitting in and seeing, if there's someone that I want to, buy low on going forward, or if I think that they're kind of just going to not be that useful.
Yeah. And in this day and age of information, I mean, if you can get box score data and use Popcorn Machine, you can pretty much tell the tale of every single game that has happened without having to see it. Or right. You can just go onto League Pass and watch, every single highlight of a particular person if you want to from a game. Like, it's all there at your fingertips.
Right.
So the need to really dig into Hornets Nuggets game at 8:00 on a Tuesday is just not the same anymore. Unless you just really like basketball, which you should. It's really fun to watch.
Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, it used to be, I can remember when I started playing and it would be like, I would go through and I'd pull up, the last time the Nuggets and Hornets played each other or whatever and see, see if they played Plumlee at the 4 at all or whatever, see if they did anything weird matchup wise. And then now it's just like, yeah, I can look at Popcorn Machine. another, I guess, good example of how to use watching games though is I think it was last year or 2 years ago. Anthony Davis had both times he played Atlanta, he was just shit. Like didn't even get up shots. And it's something that if you looked at any of the data, it wouldn't have really made sense. But if you watch the game, they pointed it out immediately that they were not only were they doubling Davis, but they were fronting him, so like you couldn't even get him the ball. So that was something that like I was able to take from the first game and use it in the second game and be like, they're probably going to keep the ball out of his hands entirely.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just something that doesn't come up that often in the NBA.
And Corey, I didn't think you were talking shit or anything. I understand you were curious. Just an interesting thing to talk about because we don't really talk about those sort of logistics all that much. But no, I love watching basketball. Yeah, baseball, on the other hand, if I don't see a single pitch thrown for the entire season, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, see, I'm the opposite. Like baseball, I'll watch just to watch. Basketball, I'll watch if I'm trying to get a specific question answered, or if I'm like sweating players. Like I enjoy watching, obviously, but just to sit down and like watch a basketball game, just no.
Yeah, I can't. Baseball's too boring now. If I'm at the game drinking beers with someone, I'm in. I can't do it any longer. Unless I have like a very specific, if I've got a lineup, top 10ing and someone's at the dish, I'm going to get to that stream pretty quickly. Otherwise, I'm good. I just can't do it. I haven't watched, I couldn't even tell you the last time I just tried to sit down and watch a baseball game. And that used to be by far my favorite sport.
Yeah. Yeah, and I still really enjoy it. But I'm sure DFS helps with that too. Like,
yeah.
If you're playing contrarian enough in baseball, then you get to watch some shitty baseball teams.
That's a really good point. If it comes through like this day and age and technology now, I get a lot of my basketball out of like House of Highlights and Instagram or like Pitching Ninja on Twitter, like to see, fun shit. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The only sport that I sit down to watch actively is Liverpool, which is the one sport that I don't play DFS for.
Dude, they had a soccer game on. I went to the bar the other night just to grab a couple drinks and chill for a little bit, and they had the MLS Cup on, and confirmed, I still just don't give a shit about soccer. That was miserable.
That makes me sad.
It also was just, I was thinking about it, like normally if there's a sport on that I don't follow, it's still like, oh, wow, this is like really impressive. These guys are good. It felt like I was watching like a college soccer game or something.
Well,
like,
to be fair, you were watching the MLS.
MLS, right? Yeah.
International soccer at a high end, and then like either the Premier League or the Bundesliga, or all of the big five.
Yeah,
that's when it's.
Yeah, no, it kind of sparked my tweet. Like, obviously tongue in cheek, but asking because I really didn't know that there were European players in the MLS. Like I assumed it was just Americans because I knew the league wasn't good.
Yeah.
And so I asked if it was similar to if like minor league baseball players ended up going to play in like Zimbabwe or something. And because like it just felt like, I'm sure Japanese pro baseball is better than what I was watching in the MLS game. I'm sure the Korean league is probably like a little bit better. Someone finally compared it to the Chinese basketball league. I felt like that was probably like really, really good.
Yeah, I was going to say, probably more like the European league. Like why can't I think of the main European basketball league? Wherever like Doncic was just playing, like,
right.
Whatever Real Madrid and stuff are involved in a basketball sense, like I would guess it would be the flip flop. Anyway, let's get back to Pacers Wizards.
That was like a really easy question that just derailed into like a 15-minute conversation.
Well, that's the problem. We just get into these things because sometimes it's just fun to talk, and
yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, we're back, chat. Don't worry, that'll be really fun for all of the audio podcast listeners when I upload that to our SoundCloud feed. Or subscribe on iTunes. Not enough people do that. The show will go up as an audio show midday. So if you can't totally join us and watch this, you could listen to it on any podcast app. Do that. All right. We're assuming John Wall is out, which means I'm going to have a decent amount of Satoransky, but the punt of the day has to be Austin Rivers, right?
Yeah, it has to. No way that goes poorly.
Especially on FanDuel 3,600.
Yeah. Obviously
jam that shit in.
Right, totally different there. DraftKings pricing, so it had gotten pretty sharp 2 days, like last game, but now we have Satoransky back to 4,200, Rivers at 4K. I'll take Satoransky all day over Rivers, but I think both are fine if Wall's out. It is important to keep in mind, don't totally just go back and look and say, again, in that game against the Hawks, Rivers played 34 minutes, Satoransky played 38 minutes, because you did have some foul trouble there with Kelly Oubre in the second half getting in foul trouble. You also had, I think, Keefe was in foul trouble, but that had more of an impact on Thomas Bryant, probably. But it's still, there were just more wing minutes open than there normally would be. Not to say that they don't get up there, but I think it's probably more likely you get like maybe 36 from Satoransky and like 30 from Rivers or something like that.
I'll probably end up with more Rivers and Satoransky on FanDuel just because of pricing and roster construction. Yeah. If I were playing on DK, I would feel more comfortable going to Satoransky than Rivers, because he's Austin Rivers. What do you like elsewhere for this team? We have Otto Porter being particularly chalky on FanDuel, and I didn't get him at all. So let's have an Otto Porter discussion quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I like Porter. I'm trying to get the numbers pulled up now, but I remember normally I hate Porter, like one of my least favorite fantasy players ever. But I had a ton of him in that game against Atlanta, and I think it was like when I ran numbers with Wall off and with Howard off. But even like going back to last season, like Porter actually saw a pretty significant spike in his usage, but also his rebound. We know that his rebounding numbers go up when he's playing the floor. So he actually had come in as a really good play. He obviously had a monster game there. This is nowhere near as appealing a matchup, but he also played, a little over 40 minutes in that game. Even if you don't give him, over 40, I think expecting him to get up into that 38-minute range is probably pretty reasonable. So yeah, I like Otto Porter a lot. It comes with the caveat that he's still not someone that's going to go out there and create his own shot. He's still reliant on defensive stats, rebounds, and knocking down, the looks that Bradley Beal allows him to have. But I just think that the price tag and the minutes are really appealing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to take a deeper look at him. I only have him in for 33 minutes. You think I'm just totally crazy for that, right?
Yeah, I think that's low.
Okay. Do you have Decker playing at all?
I do not.
Okay. I have him in for 10.
Actually, no, I do. Right now I have him getting like 8 minutes.
Okay. Jeff Green in?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, right now I have Porter at 36 with those guys, but I haven't gone through and actually tried to map it out yet. Like I can already tell you right now I have Morris at like 28 minutes. I can already tell you that's going up.
Yeah, I have him at 28 as well. I do have 4 minutes additional to play with right now that I couldn't find like a natural spot for. So It could just easily be that Porter goes to 35 or 36 and I'm walking away. What do you have Beal at? Probably like 38?
38, but that's going up.
Okay. Yeah, I have him at 36 right now.
I'll probably end up with him at like 40.
And more often than not in the mornings, I'm rarely going over 36 unless it's a guy that's just been playing 40 every day, like a
which
Tibbs Wolves guy.
Yeah, I mean, like Bradley Beal plays 40 minutes a night with or without John Wall. So if Wall's out, I'm not going under 40. But also with regard to the Sam Decker, if you go back and look at that game against Atlanta, you did get 6 minutes for Jason Smith and you got 7 minutes for Troy Brown. So it's not like whatever minutes you assign to Decker are should be pulled away from one of these starters. You can obviously the first 6 minutes are the Jason Smith minutes. But then, also you can take out the Troy Brown minutes if you want to, because chances are they don't both play.
Are you upset about Jason Smith being traded?
Deeply heartbroken.
Because apparently the team is really not happy about it.
I mean, the team's not happy about anything. So
no. Apparently Jason Smith was the glue guy. Who knew? Right.
I mean, it makes sense. Like I've kind of always got. I was surprised that they gave him up, just because I've kind of always gotten that impression that that's kind of what he was. But yeah, I don't think that losing the glue guy is going to make or break whatever the hell this team does.
Yeah, what kind of glue is holding this team together if he's the glue guy? What could possibly get worse?
Right. Yeah. I mean, John Wall limping around the court or whatever the hell he was doing last game. I have a feeling that ends up devolving into some sort of issue.
Yeah. Anything else from this game?
Keefe, again, I think that he's kind of been bad lately, but a lot of it's been based on foul trouble. I still think that he's a reasonable play in tournaments. I mean, there's no reason to really go to him in cash games, but you got him back to 30.9 minutes against Cleveland but he also sat the last like 6 minutes of that game with Washington closing with like Jan Mahinmi and a bunch of trash. So, I think that Keith can still get into like that 32, 34-minute range if this game's competitive and they're not getting blown out by like the Cavaliers.
Sounds good. Let's move on. We went way too long on that one, and we barely talked about the game itself. Got a lot to talk about for this one, though. Tried to do it last week. And they took it away from us, but let's run it back. Philadelphia 76ers hosting the Detroit Pistons. 114.5 implied total for the Sixers. 107 for the Pistons. By all accounts, Joel Embiid is going to play today. So if you do just want to listen to our analysis from Thursday, well, I can't remember what day this actually happened. You can go back and do that, but let's do it again. 10-4 for Embiid on FanDuel, 9,800 on DraftKings. Heavy chalk for Embiid and Simmons on DK right now. Pretty normal exposure across the big three on FanDuel, 15, 15, and 16% for all three guys. Let's talk about them in one big bunch, actually. Who do you like the most out of this trio?
Joel Embiid.
Yeah, that's safe. As do I. I'm doubled up on the field right now. Can't avoid him. Love it. He's going to go get him.
Is squeaky wheel a thing in basketball like it is in football?
What do you mean?
Like in football, you get, Julio Jones complaining that he's not getting passes, and then suddenly the next game he gets 28 targets. Embiid, the game that he sat, comes out and says he didn't need to rest. He just needs to be used more effectively offensively, and that they haven't been using him correctly since the Jimmy Butler trade. Is this a spot where they just throw Embiid in the post and toss him the ball and say, go have fun? Like, sorry for misusing you. And he just like wrecks Detroit more than he normally would.
It doesn't strike me as the type of thing that Jimmy Butler would be okay with, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's not something that like factors in decision making, but it's just worth noting that his Embiid's recent kind of not very good production, like there is a reason for it. He's come out and said that it's because they're using him completely differently. They're starting him out at the 3-point line. They're not keeping him in the paint and near the basket as much. So, I mean, it's a reason for concern, I guess, but all the opportunities should still be there for Embiid. It's still a really nice matchup that we know he'll be up for. So I still like him a lot, especially with, a decreasing price tag.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if I'm not double the field on Embiid. I'm also double the field on Jimmy Butler right now, 8,200 on FanDuel, 7,900 on DK. And I did make sure to go in and like make some mild adjustments to like usage rates and really take a look at where they've been since the trade. So I'm pretty comfortable with getting that amount of Butler. The one guy that I'm getting very little of now is Ben Simmons, 1/3 of his expected ownership. I'm pretty cool with that. Do you have any hot Simmons takes for right now?
I have him ahead of Butler, but I still have him behind Embiid. Butler's price tag on DraftKings jumped like I think $500 or something after.
Yeah,
that
he's
last
only
game.
8,200 on FanDuel right now.
That's
1,000 behind Simmons.
Right. Yeah, totally different price conversation there. On DraftKings, he's 600 behind Simmons, but he's up to almost 8K, which in the games where Butler does take over, obviously it's too cheap of a price tag. But since the trade, you're looking at almost 25% usage for Butler, but that obviously includes the last game as well, where Embiid was out. So I just think that with Embiid back, Simmons is the one that consistently is going to take less of a hit just because of the type of player he is. He'll lose a couple points in usage, but he's still going to go out there and flirt with a triple-double because that's what he does. Butler's the one that if Embiid has the ball in his hands a lot in this game, Butler's the one that's kind of losing out there.
Updating a formula right now. I just want this game to happen. I wanted to watch it last week. I want to watch it again today. So there better not be any shenanigans again. I don't need that in my life. Anybody else from the Sixers catching your eye? Wilson Chandler is the only guy for me, 4,300 on FanDuel, and it's just mostly a follow the minutes thing. I don't like I rarely like having him, but I like being with the field for him, just because there's always the chance that those minutes turn into a big volume game.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's whatever on Wilson Chandler. He is, we know who he is. He's going to be out there. You need him to either shoot threes really efficiently or rack up some steals, blocks, grab more rebounds than usual. But minutes are minutes. And especially with someone like Chandler, who people on a slate this big, I wouldn't think is going to be very popular. So sure, if he ends up in lineups, that's fine.
Okie dokie. Let's move over to the Pistons side, I guess, unless you have any other takes, because I don't have anybody else.
No.
Drummond and Blake is probably the main spot to start, unless you're a really big Langston Galloway fan, who I think is a real nice play on FanDuel at the flat minimum. Do you have a preference between Drummond and Blake? I'm going to go ahead and assume that the answer is Drummond at 8,400 on DraftKings.
That would be a good assumption.
Yeah. And these prices are even better on FanDuel, I think. Drummond only 9,000 on FanDuel, 9,100 for Blake on FD as well. Look, I like both of these guys. I like having a lot of the top of this game.
Yeah, I mean, like looking at the DraftKings pricing, it's not even that I dislike Blake at 9,500. It's just really almost impossible for me to justify paying $1,100 more for Blake than for Drummond. But if they're closer together, then I like them both.
8,400 for Drummond on DraftKings is one of those prices where he could really mess the slate up with a ceiling Drummond game.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not projecting that highly for me, which is really surprising.
What do you have him at?
Right now, just using like baseline stuff in 34 minutes, 45.5.
I have him at 44.5.
Like he's just one of those guys that normally I have to kind of intentionally underproject him because otherwise he just like throws off all of my crunches because of how high he is relative to other guys.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that I didn't see it higher in mine as well, especially it might be a total thing, but it's a really nice pace game for both teams.
Yeah, I'm Detroit. Only 108 right now, implied total for Detroit?
I have a 107, so yeah, basically. Okay, I see what I'm doing. I'll fix that. Are you cool with Langston Galloway on FanDuel? Or on DK, I guess?
I mean, it's Langston Galloway. Yeah, it's fine. Like, the minutes should be there. Stanley Johnson's out again, right?
I have him in right now. I haven't seen anything that says, like, you need to be out. Let me go back to Roto World.
Yes, the last I see on here is that he wasn't going to play yesterday. And to consider him highly questionable for today.
I had him in for right now.
Okay. I have him out for right now.
Okay, so talk to me about what that does to the rest of the team.
Yeah, I mean, if he's out, then obviously Galloway should get a few more minutes. Bruce Brown gets more minutes. They're both really cheap. They're both fine. Like Galloway would be the one, obviously, that I lean to. But it's worth keeping in mind that it's not like he's a high usage guy regardless. He's even if he plays more minutes, that just means he's playing more minutes with Blake and with Drummond, and he's not usually going to be all that productive in those minutes. So, I think that from a price perspective and a minutes perspective, it's perfectly fine. It's just still unlikely that he gives you like a monster, raw score game that you really need. If Johnson's in, then I'm going to go right back to liking Stanley Johnson and trying to get back the money that he cost me on Friday.
Yep, same exact story for me. Do you have any interest in Reggie Jackson? 17% expected ownership on DK. He's the chalkiest Piston.
Yeah, I mean, he's $5,000 on DraftKings.
I know.
It's pretty tough not to be interested, I think. I mean, he's just, I think, too good for that price tag. In this spot, last time he played 34 minutes. He didn't do shit, but he played 34 minutes. So, yeah, I do have interest in Reggie Jackson.
Okie doke. Anything else, or do you want to put a bow on this game?
No, I think that's good.
Let's do it. The Boston Celtics taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. Celtics 117.5 implied total. Pels 110.5. That's a really big line. A little surprised by that. Anyway, we'll start on the Celtics side, this is kind of a nice game for them, and they are priced way better on FanDuel. Kyrie 8,500 on FanDuel, 8,900 on DraftKings. I really like Kyrie here.
Yeah, so do I. We've talked about it before. Like Drew Holiday is a very, 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 very good defender.
Yeah.
But this team as a whole is not good defensively, and they play at such a fast pace that it doesn't really matter all that much because you like when you take a team like Boston, and you give them the extra possessions that New Orleans is going to afford them, you can deal with some, potentially increased inefficiency if it's even there, which it probably won't be. So yeah, I like Kyrie. I mean, he's really turned things around over the last month or so, up around a 32% usage rate, like a 34, 35% assist percentage, playing like 34 minutes a night. It's really difficult not to like Kyrie here, I think.
Yeah. He's I'm over the field right now. I hope that continues throughout the day and the public gets away from him for some reason, but great spot.
I've been projected for almost 50 on DraftKings.
Wow. Okay. I'm at 44, so I think we're both on the same side of like really liking him.
Yeah.
Horford, same price on both sites. I'm fine getting him, but there's no one else on this team that I want to be like heavy on.
Right. Yeah, it's the same story that, it's been for a while with Boston. Like, obviously, if Horford were to miss this game and Baines were to miss this game, then Daniel Tice again. But assuming that that's not the case, it's the price on Horford's fine, especially where you can roster him as a power forward on DraftKings. It's an appealing matchup, but it's just one where I think he probably comes out and gives you, 30 to 35 fantasy points a large percentage of the time, to where, you don't really need that. Jason Tatum's priced up all the way to 7K. Morris and Hayward, neither one super appealing, even though I love the matchup for both. So they're guys where if I'm playing 150 lineups, I would expect that behind Kyrie, I would expect that Morris and Hayward are the guys that I would get the most, but it wouldn't be anywhere close to how much Kyrie I get. And I'd be fine with that because they're not guys I'm targeting, whereas I love Kyrie.
Yeah, I got a little bit more than the field on Hayward. He was the only guy, 6,100 on FanDuel. And that's just sort of a product of the fact that everything after Paul George at small forward is just a mess of like very similar dudes at like similar price points.
Right. How much is Hayward on FanDuel?
He is 61 on FanDuel, 57 on DK for the viewers.
Yeah, I had the 57 on DK. I was going to say if he was like close to Bogdanovich, I would prefer Hayward.
Yeah. Terry Rozier still 4,100 on FanDuel, a nice 5,300 on DK.
Is this you saying that you're going to keep playing Terry Rozier?
I mean, I have like a couple lineups with him in that guarantee me not to be with Kyrie, but I just thought it was really interesting that there was a $1,200 price gap. The color in my site column was like very bright orange.
What are we doing with? I guess most of Jaylen Brown's. He still only got the 28 minutes, but he closed in a garbage time game. I was just gonna say, are we interested in him?
I have him at 24 minutes right now.
Yeah.
Do you have him at anything crazier than that?
No, I think I have him at like 26.
Yeah. If I got him, it would be fine to get over the field. It wouldn't take more than like 4 or 5 lineups out of 150. So I'm a little sad that our incredible love for Jaylen Brown has seemingly gone. But sorry, Jaylen. Suck Pels. 12-4 for AD on FanDuel. 10-9 on DraftKings. I didn't get any AD on my first crunch. I really only got Nico on my first crunch, and I'm not really happy about that either. I don't see the Pelicans as a particularly exciting play tonight. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a really difficult matchup, but Julius Randle on DraftKings is $7,100, assuming that he remains in the starting lineup. I mean, he played 34 minutes or almost 34 minutes against Detroit, and the guy's just been an absolute monster. It's going to be tough for me not to be interested in $7,100 Julius Randle.
Yeah, he is 8,400 on FanDuel.
That
slightly different play.
Yeah,
slightly different, and a center. So,
totally
getting
different.
to Julius Randle is going to be a real difficult task.
Yeah, that's completely different.
Yep. I would have he's 28% expected ownership on DraftKings, and that makes all the sense in the world. Similarly, Tim Frazier, 5,200 on FanDuel, 4,100 on DK. Not that I like Tim Frazier ever, but I certainly don't like him at 5,200.
Yeah, and 4,100, he's there. I mean, it's not a price tag where I'm going to be actively avoiding Tim Frazier. It's not a price tag where I'm going to be sitting here, or where I even anticipate there's a chance that I come back to the deeper dive later and be like, Tim Frazier's 4,100. I forgot to talk about it this morning. I love Tim Frazier. Like, probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
But he's
Do you love Drew at 8K?
That's pretty appealing. That price tag just plummeted.
Yeah.
I don't love Drew with Julius Randle in the starting lineup. That's, I think, actually a pretty big hit for him. If you run numbers, It's really tough with this team because the lineup has changed so much throughout the season,
Yeah.
and they have new pieces with Randall. But it's a lot of the searches when I try and get a gauge on how to project this offense. You see Drew Holiday take a pretty big hit when he's with Julius Randle, going from like 27.5% usage down to like 23.5, 24%. So I think that the drop in price tag is probably warranted in that regard, but you're still talking about a guy playing, 38 to 40 minutes. So I think that there's upside, and the price tag coming down is nice, but I would still put him behind Davis, and I'd still put him behind Randall.
Yeah, how do you want to
On
handle
DraftKings.
Davis? I assume it's the same as me. Whatever you get, you're fine with. He's not a
Yep.
priority against Boston, unless
Right.
this is a Anthony Davis showcase.
Yeah. I mean, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I would go like Randall, Davis. Looking at DraftKings pricing, I would go
Yep.
Randall, Davis, Holiday, and then Frazier, Mirotic.
Okay. Yeah, if I get outside of having a little bit of Mirotic at 6,400 on FanDuel, I'd be surprised if I got much of anything here. Boston, too good defensively from a fantasy perspective. Not like a great pace game for the Pels. Everybody's priced where they should be or worse. AD 12-4, Drew 9-1, Randall 8-4. There's just it's hard to find anything here.
Yeah, it's like I mean that's over $1,000 difference on all of those guys.
Yeah. Get out of this game. This one should be good. I assume you're good here, right?
Yeah.
Cool. The Chicago Bulls and Sacramento Kings. Bulls fresh off a mutiny. 111 implied total. Kings 113.5. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't see the Kings being 2.5-point favorites on the road against anyone this year.
Yeah. My first thought when I looked at this was to pound the Kings.
Yeah, it's probably not the worst idea in the world. The Bulls are fantastic. Just trying to get everybody together at one person's house and skip practices and shit. Like this is some junior high basketball team.
What if Jim Boylan just ran all the starters for literal 48 minutes tonight in response to them being pissed off for being benched the other day?
I understood why he did the first one. I'm not so sure about the second one.
I think the players understood why he did the first one.
Yeah, if you're getting bageled like 17 bonk or whatever the score was, you're gonna get a hockey line change. But they were down like 6-2 at the beginning of the second half, and he took them all back in again. What an asshole!
It's insane. Like just some of the quotes coming out of there, like everything he says is like, "Well, Popovich does this and this and this." It's like, okay,
what a comp! Oh my god. I think Pop's built up a little cachet in the NBA that he has the ability to do that from time to time. Interim coach Jim Boylan, maybe not so much.
Right. You don't like this? Imagine if you played for Pop. Oh, yeah. Okay.
They're probably all like, I fucking wish we did.
Right.
This team sucks. You're awful. All right, let's talk Bulls. Because I think there's some interesting stuff here. Zach LaVine, 8,100 on FanDuel, 7,400 on DraftKings. We do have to be aware that Portis could be playing here. I assume we're not getting Chris Dunn. So we are going to have to redistribute minutes in a way, but you wouldn't think that this impacts LaVine all that much. What do you think of him at that price point?
I really wanted to just ignore the Bulls today because I have no confidence in anything that's going to happen. But at that price point for LaVine, like he's the guy that I think should be the most stable out of everyone. Just because, especially if Dunn is out again, you're still talking about a backcourt that has, Arcidiacono and Blakeney and Harrison and Payne.
This team is so bad.
Right. So I think LaVine should be kind of the safest. And I mean, 7,400 on DraftKings is just egregious.
Yeah.
There's really no way to get around it. So yeah, I like LaVine a lot. And then, I mean, really the DraftKings prices on all these guys, $5K for Wendell Carter is still really nice. Assuming that the entire team doesn't get benched, we've been seeing him play around 32 minutes, which obviously is really appealing. Even 6,300 for Lauri Markkanen. It's not as he's not underpriced like LaVine and Carter are, but he clearly has upside there in this spot.
Yeah, I got a lot of Markkanen, 6,700 on FanDuel. Like 3 times the field there. And then we've got chalky Wendell Carter on DK, 20% expected ownership, 5K price tag, 6K on FanDuel. Yeah, again, I'm fine with it. I mean, this is it's a pretty nice pace up spot for the Bulls. They're just in It's the turmoil that's kind of scary.
Right. I mean, there's a small percentage that this turns into what the Knicks have been all season long.
Yeah.
Not in terms of like the Knicks, I think actually get along. They just have less talent than the Bulls do. But
Did you see the highlight from the Knicks? I think yesterday, maybe 2 days ago.
No, I don't think so.
Cantor for one. I don't know who the other person was because I only saw it on social media. They both went to try to grab a defensive rebound and basically both like hammered it home on their own basket. Sorry, it just made me think of
nice. But yeah, no, I mean, there's certainly a chance that we just start seeing some weird ass rotations here, because they've been pretty unpredictable since the coaching change. But the price tags, I think, factor that risk in.
Do you think Portis plays today? This is just clearly hypothetical. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I have him for like 14 minutes right now.
Yeah, I have him in for 20 actually. Neither of those numbers make much of a difference. I don't want any Jabari or Justin Hall. Like, there's nothing else outside of Levine, Markin, and Carter, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I mean, punt Archie is, I guess, fine on FanDuel.
Yeah, for DraftKings too, he's 3,600.
Yeah, but otherwise, just steer clear of this one. This ship, I think, already sunk.
Yeah, but it's not even steer clear, at least on DraftKings. These guys are all.
No, I meant like of the bottom half of the trying to hash out the Shaq Harrison campaign, like all of that, all the dregs of the Bulls. Now, Levine, Markkanen, and Carter are all very, very valuable today.
Yeah.
Let's go to Sacramento. Marvin Bagley, 4,700 on DraftKings. Fire him up, right?
Yeah, I think I'm pulling up that game now to make sure I didn't miss anything, but as far as I know, yes.
Secure the bags. I love it. 6,200 on FanDuel. You don't have to secure it all that heavily.
All right. So why did he play 9 minutes against the Pacers? So 2 fouls in his first 4 minutes. Third foul in his next 49 seconds. Fourth and fifth foul. Fouled out. Okay. Yeah. Do not look at the minutes against the Pacers.
Are you not confident in those?
Fouled out in less than 10 minutes.
Fantastic, Marv. Fantastic.
So yeah, no, I like Bagley. We can just completely ignore that Indiana game, and we can go back to the game before that when he faced, I believe it was Cleveland, right? Yeah, against Cleveland. He disappointed in that game, but if we just look at the minutes, we got 25 minutes out of him. So that's my one concern here is that Costa Koufos is back now, and the fact that we have to say Costa Koufos is back when referring to Marvin Bagley getting minutes is a joke, but we do, because before what was happening was Bagley was getting minutes at the 4 behind Bjelica, and then he essentially was taking Harry Giles minutes as the backup 5. Now you have Costa Koufos as the backup 5, which leaves Marvin Bagley to essentially be the power forward. So for one, that takes away some of the rebounding numbers. But for two, it does shave off some minutes to where I think we probably have to go back to projecting like 26 and not 30.
Mm-hmm. I've got him in for 27 right now. Yeah. I didn't really think about this. I just always see the word Bagley and think to say Bagley. I didn't think that his first name is Marvin. I'm a very big fan of the name. It's the first name of my dog.
There you go.
Yeah. Makes me happy. Marvin Bagley, you're my dude. Duke guy. Sharing names with animals in my family. It's fantastic.
I'm going back through that Cleveland game now. He got 0 minutes at center against Cleveland until the final, 3 minutes of the game when it was a 18-point game. That's just annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that I think we're going to have to deal with probably until the front office tells Dave Yeager to stop playing Costa Koufos. So, yeah, it sucks. But, I mean, the price tag coming down is nice. It's obviously a really appealing matchup for Bagley. So I'm still fine getting there. It's just, keep in mind that you don't want to just be plugging him in for the 30 to 32 minutes he was playing before his injury because Costa Koufos was out then and it was a completely different rotation.
Am I crazy to love Buddy Hield today on FanDuel?
What's his price?
6,100.
That's pretty cheap.
Yep.
How many minutes did he play? Yes, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, the 32 minutes is probably more likely than 36 here. But
I have him in for 31.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fine.
That's just a really nice price in, arguably the best matchup in the league. so long as Chris Dunn doesn't come back, which I'd really just prefer him to not come back. No offense to Chris Dunn. I want you to be healthy as a person, but you being like a decent defender does not help me when you come back.
Right.
What about Willie
Yeah.
or De'Aaron Fox? What are you thinking there?
Yeah, I mean, so Cauley Stein in the game against Cleveland, he played 27 minutes, lost the last like 4 minutes to the blowout. In the game against Indiana, we got like 30 minutes minus, or you could add on a couple potentially. So, I mean, I think that probably project Cauley Stein for like 32 minutes here, which makes it a really nice spot for him at 6,100 on DraftKings. People usually don't play the guy. Yeah. He's over a point per minute producer against one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. So, I think it's a perfectly fine spot for him. Center is always a tough position to prioritize him at, but I like the spot.
Fox is probably a little bit of a tough sell at 7,600 on DK, 7,700 on FanDuel. Not too shabby. Just because of the matchup, there's some upside there. Pick up some steals and stuff, but I'm not getting a ton of him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously monster ceiling for him, but just in terms of, priorities, it's if I get him, I get him. But like point per dollar, I'd have him behind Cauley Stein.
Yeah, I do as well. Pretty significantly on DK with that $1,500 price gap. It's a tight one on FanDuel. They're only separated by $800. Anything else here?
How many points do you have Bagley projected for?
On DK, 30.4.
Okay, I'm at 27.9.
Okay.
In 26 minutes. Which still gets me some. It's just not like blowing away his salary. Let me, if this page will load in the next like 3 seconds. I just want to see if there's like a huge rebounding difference for Bagley when he's playing alongside a center, as opposed to not playing alongside a center.
Sure.
Where is Harry Giles? There he is. So he has played. It's amazing how long it takes to load anything when I'm actively trying to look at it. Like I just like immediately pull stuff up the entire show, and then I plan on that happening, and I just get a little like circle spinning. All right, this isn't that important. We can talk about it later. I'll post it in chat. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so he's played 146 minutes without any of Harry Giles, Costa Koufos, or Willie Cauley Stein on the floor this season. He's averaged 43.6 fantasy points per 36 minutes. He has a 17.4% rebounding percentage. Not going to run all of them individually with those guys on, but just his overall numbers this season drop to a...
Why did they take Marvin Bagley?
I don't know.
Like, I like him, obviously. He does not fit this team whatsoever. Why did they not just... They took Bagley second, right? Like, they could have just taken Luka.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
And how great would he be on this team?
Right. God, they would be so good. I mean, as good as the Kings can be, but yeah. So Bagley's played 541 total minutes this season. He's averaged 37.25 fantasy points per 36. He has a 13.5% rebounding percentage. When I took the centers off, the rebounding percentage jumped to 17.5%. He went from 37 to about 41 fantasy points per 36. So not only is he losing minutes here, but as expected, he is playing less productive minutes when he's not getting time at the 5. So you just like keep all that stuff in mind. The price tag's still appealing, but if someone is lazy and comes out and just says, oh yeah, Marvin Bagley, keep doing it. Like there are actual reasons to downgrade his projection.
Yeah. Good research. That's good shit that people don't dig into. I like it. Here we go. Lots of revenge narrative in this one. Milwaukee Bucks hosting the Cleveland Cavaliers, fresh off the monster George Hill, Matthew Dellavedova, assorted other parts trade. 117.25 implied total for the Bucks, third highest of the slate. 103.75 for the Cavs, one of the lowest of the slate. This is a pretty big pace down spot for the Bucks, pretty big pace up spot for the Cavs. Let's start on the Bucks side. 12,300 for Giannis on FanDuel, 11.7 on DraftKings. It's a really tough sell for me.
Yeah, I mean, I love the spot, like obviously,
Yeah.
but so the thing for me on DraftKings is you compare Giannis to these other guys at the top because once again, Giannis is playing on a slate where every other superstar in the NBA is playing.
Yep.
Russell Westbrook on DraftKings is $700 less expensive. LeBron is $1,000 less expensive. In his vaunted matchup with Dwayne Wade and the Heat. Anthony Davis is $800 less expensive.
Embiid.
Yeah, Embiid. I'm not even going to throw Kevin Durant in this category, but he's 1,600 less. Towns is 9,200.
Yeah.
Jokic is 9,300. I mean, there's monster upside throughout this slate. And as appealing as the matchup is in terms of Cleveland being a trash defense, it is a pace down game. And I'm not going to say this game, it's not even that I think the game blows out, but it's just another risk factor when you're talking about already having to find, extra money to get up to Giannis. It's certainly a risk factor that you can factor in. It shouldn't be like the determining factor, but it's just something that does exist. So all that being said, yeah, it's pretty tough for me to actually justify getting all the way up to Giannis here. If he were the same price as all these guys, then sure, because I still think that I would probably have him projected as at least one of the highest scorers. But I just don't see the need to pay a premium for Giannis here.
No, he's $1,200 more expensive than LeBron, $2,000 more expensive than Durant, and 35. Obviously, these two are not comparable, but $3,500 more expensive than Paul George. I'd rather just have all three of those guys than Giannis from like a construction standpoint. Now, if Giannis is projected to be 4% owned on FanDuel like he is, I don't mind if I get 2, 3, 4 lineups with Giannis, and it's not the worst thing in the world, but for him to really return on that price tag, I mean, this game has to, one, stay close because you're going to need every single bit of his minutes for the night, and he's just going to have like a nuclear ceiling game.
Right. It's an opportunity cost thing more than it's even a Giannis thing here.
Exactly.
It's, because you can break down the matchup all you want. You can talk about if it's going to blow out or not all you want. But the thing is, like, not only do you need Giannis to have a really big game at that price tag like you would anytime, and obviously he does it a lot, but it's still, there's plenty of times that he only gets, 58 fantasy points or something. But not only do you need him to have a big game, you need him to have the biggest game by a margin because he's more expensive than these guys. So it's that you just need a lot of things to break correctly. It's not even as simple as saying, oh, Giannis is low owned, I'll play Giannis, because you still just need him to beat like all these other guys.
Yeah, if LeBron comes out and has the exact same big game as Giannis, they both put up 60. Having Giannis is probably a detriment.
Right.
God, craziness. All right, Bledsoe, Middleton. I don't really have either guy. Only guy I've gotten with any sort of volume here, and I'm probably just over projecting him, would be Brook Lopez. 5,300 on FanDuel, 4,500 on DK.
Yeah, he was going to be the one that I said. Like, again, it's not that I dislike Bledsoe or I dislike Middleton. It's just kind of really good, like solid pricing on DraftKings part to have them where they are. They certainly can beat it, but it's a big enough slate and a deep enough slate that I just don't feel the need to really prioritize it. Like, if I get them, I get them, but not really standing out. I love the Brook Lopez price tag, but again, it takes up a center position, so there's plenty of opportunity costs for him as well.
How do you think George Hill upsets this little backcourt apple cart?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Like, they already had too many guards.
Who are you taking? So, like, I have him in for 16 minutes right now, and I'm curious who you took all the minutes from.
Right. So, yeah, I have him at like 14 right now. Connaughton lost minutes.
Yep.
DiVincenzo out of the rotation, yep. I guess. But also, I think one way it could go is that Don Maker loses minutes, and you just get more Giannis at the 5 or Ilyasova at the 5 or whatever.
I can see that in like real games.
Oh, right, yeah. No, yeah.
I don't think they're gonna have Giannis banging Tristan tonight.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. But I was trying to figure out how it even like works with this team, because you already had Brogdon, playing 30 minutes that he deserves.
Yeah.
And you have, Middleton, you have Bledsoe, obviously, but I guess they could just play more lineups where you have like Bledsoe, Hill, Brogdon, Middleton, Giannis or something.
I shaved a bit of Tony Snell, I shaved a bit of Sterling Brown, and then I shaved a lot of Pat Connaughton. None of it should matter. You're not playing any of those guys regardless, but Yeah. Ted in chat's got it there. Hill was strictly a financial move. Yeah, they're not
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
they're not getting George Hill for any reason other than they needed money for next year.
Right. Yeah, but if we assume that he's in the rotation, like
Oh yeah, I would imagine. I mean, he should be playing more than probably Sterling Brown or Pat Connaughton or some of these guys, but it's not going to matter.
Yeah, like it's not. You're not going to see Malcolm. I wouldn't think you're going to see Malcolm Brogdon suddenly just be like the backup point guard.
So I'll have to listen to it a little bit more in depth. They talked about it on Dunked On this morning, but I wasn't super paying attention because I was doing my minutes projections. They got a little nervous that they might spell Bledsoe.
Yeah, they kind of been doing it this year anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, like you were seeing Bledsoe up until recently, but for a lot of the season, you were seeing Bledsoe kind of play like 30 minutes a night.
Yeah, that's scary to me. But I guess if you're going to do that, then it really makes it interesting to think about how they just freed up all that money to essentially pay Bledsoe.
Yeah. And I mean, it makes sense too for a team as good as Milwaukee to, have Bledsoe fresh in the playoffs.
I might have to ban someone from chat. Lance Burton, Hill will drop 45.
45 what?
I have no idea.
Oh, it is a revenge game.
I guess. If I said George Hill scores 45, we'll say fantasy points tonight. How many minutes do you think he would have to play to do that? 45?
68.
Yeah. Yeah. If George Hill drops 45, I'm good on DFS for a minute.
I don't think I've ever been on a show in the entirety of my time doing DFS content where I've had a conversation like this and that player has not gone out there to just go nuts.
Yeah.
Like it happens. Just start projecting George Hill for 38 minutes now.
Why is George Hill going to be mad? He got traded from the awful Cavs to the arguably the best team in the East. This is the greatest thing that could have possibly happened to him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
He said he's going to be mad. Why he should be happy. He should be fist bumping Kobe Altman, Dan Gilbert, and
I thought you were
the Cavs coaches.
I thought you were saying someone was asking because I said it was a revenge game. I just say revenge game whenever I know a guy played for the other team. It's not something that I actually.
Oh believe. No, this is Lance in chat. Man, George Hill must be the happiest person in the league.
Yeah. Did you see I don't remember who it was, but there was a GIF of and it was saying Sam Decker when he thinks he's being traded to Milwaukee and then finds out he's being traded to Washington.
I didn't see it, but I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, it was a GIF of someone like looking really happy and then like just their smile like immediately evaporating.
All right, let's talk Cleveland quickly. Tristan Thompson, 8,100 on FanDuel, 7,200 on DK. I don't know what to do with him. He's been playing so crazy compared to he's the guy that has the biggest gap between my model and his actual performance. He's a 1.1 fantasy point per minute player over the last 30 days. I have him like 0.2 of a point below that, which is just such a massive drop. He's just a simply different person.
So I think it matters. Do we have Delhi in for sure?
I have him in. Does it really matter?
Yeah, because
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. Thompson goes from like 38 to 40 minutes in competitive games to like 34 when they have that extra body out there to push everyone down. Played 42 minutes against Washington, but in the games when George Hill was starting and even and picking up mid 20s minutes, it just makes it easier for Thompson not to play this massive workload and to get back to like 34 minutes. So I think it matters there, especially with Thompson's price tag coming up. It's to where you need him playing like all of those minutes. So if everyone is still out for the Cavs and we can project Thompson for 38 minutes, I think he's a fine play. If those guys are back in and I have to project Thompson for like 34 minutes, then I'm less interested just because the price tag has come up and it will be tough for me to really get there.
Yeah, I have him in for 34 minutes right now. I have Dellavedova playing 14 minutes. Newly minted Cav Jaren Blossom game I have in for 16. Which is he's playing. The guy I like the most in this game, and it's not even particularly close. Colin Sexton, 5,300 on FanDuel. I'm gonna have a lot.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I like Alec Burks too. The price tag came up to 4,700 on DraftKings, which isn't great.
Yeah, he's 53 on FanDuel now.
Yeah, So I mean, it's a decent play, but it's not as good as it was before. Jordan Clarkson is only 4,800. Like, I kind of like Clarkson.
Hood's status will help clear that
Yeah,
picture up
yeah,
a lot.
that's
Because
good.
if Hood's playing and Deli's back, there might not be enough minutes for Clarkson to matter.
Right. If I can get 30 minutes for Clarkson, though, I like him.
Yeah, I have him at 24 right now. He's the guy I think that they shave the most off of if everybody ends up playing.
Yeah.
What are we doing with Larry Nance? 5,600 on FanDuel, 4,600 on DK.
Not playing him.
That makes one of us.
You're playing him?
I can't stop playing him. And I just keep getting bludgeoned because of it. Although he was fine. Was that Friday night?
Against the Wizards?
Whatever night
Saturday.
he got, like we found out he was getting late run.
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's for one, that was the Wizards. But for two, like he just loses the minutes when he's not starting. Like I'm interested in Nance when he's going to get the backup center minutes and he's going to get a bunch of minutes at the 4. He obviously still got a bunch of minutes at the 4 because Tristan Thompson played 42 minutes. But some of we got Nance closing in that game over Clarkson. That's not a given. That happens, consistently. And his minutes when he plays alongside Tristan Thompson are just much less productive than they are when he plays center. So, if it's fine, I guess. I'm just not like I would have I'd have Nance behind Sexton, I'd have him behind Clarkson, I'd have him behind Burks out of those, 4,600 ish guys.
I agree. Only 4% expected ownership on FanDuel. Is kind of the only. I sort of like him as like a low-ish spot, but I don't know. I'm probably too high on Nance every day. Oh, I hate him. Anybody else from Cleveland? Any Chetty? Kind of chalky. The chalkiest guy on DK right now for the Cavs. Not in general.
Again, I mean, it depends on Rodney Hood. If he's back, then I don't think Chetty plays 40 minutes. But like if you can project Chetty for 38 minutes, which I think is reasonable, depending on how many bodies they have, then sure, it's still Chetty. I mean, the guy doesn't really do a whole lot, but it is a pace-up game, and he should play huge minutes depending on who's available.
There we go.
If he's chalk, like I almost never see a reason to play chalk Chetty though.
Especially when he's priced where he's supposed to be priced.
Right.
Like sort of what we were talking about before. He's where he should be, essentially. I don't know what would be driving that up outside of the slate itself, but it seems like a safe spot to not go with the field.
Yeah, I mean, like 4,300 on DraftKings is a little cheap. He should probably be like 4,800.
Yeah.
But, it's just one of those spots where is Chetty likely to outperform that price tag? Yes. And that's why people will play him. But is he likely to outperform it by enough that you have to have Chetty to win a tournament? That's asking for a lot more. And when you have a large percentage of the field going to the same guy, it kind of just makes it so long term you're going to be better off just finding other guys who have a similar similar probability of putting up a big score.
Yep. I'm with you. Ready to head to Oklahoma City?
Yep.
Thunder hosting the Jazz. 111 implied total for the Thunder. 105 for the Jazz. So 6-point favorites for the Thunder at home. We'll start on the Thunder side. 11-2 for Russ on FanDuel. 11,000 on DraftKings. It should come as no surprise, but I like Russ.
Russ is actually projecting super highly for me, and normally he doesn't.
Yeah, I'm double the field on Russ right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if I have his rates like different than I wanted to or something. But yeah, I like it. Utah, they're not fast. They're not bad defensively, but they're certainly not good. They're nowhere near as good as their reputation from previous seasons.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's a perfectly fine spot for Russ. I mean, his rates have been down a bit since coming back from the injury, but that's not something that I would expect to necessarily continue long term. 28.5% usage over 7 games, but it's still Russ. He's still going to go out there and flirt with a triple double. So I like him quite a bit.
Okay, cool. Other guy that I really like is Paul George. He's 8,800 on both sites. I really, really like him on FanDuel at that price point.
Yeah, so do I. And he's he normally isn't really owned, but in competitive games, the guy's going to play 37, 38 minutes. He actually, since Westbrook came back from injury, George actually has a higher usage rate than Russell Westbrook does at 29.3%. So, the opportunity has still been there. He loses a bit in terms of assists, but yeah, I think that Paul George is a pretty appealing tournament play at the very least.
Jazz this season, 27th in turnover rate. Makes me a little bit more interested for someone like Paul George, or Russ for that matter.
Yeah, they're not good.
No. Adams, I don't see as a particularly interesting spot. Schroeder is, I think, fine. He's pretty chalky on both sites. I don't mind him. That's pretty much it for me in this game. Unless you're a big Jeremy Grant fan on DK.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Did you have any Schroeder take?
No.
Works for me. Let's go to the Jazz. Only guy that I have on FanDuel right now is Ricky Rubio, 6,600. Otherwise, it's a bagel across the board. On DK, I assume it's similar, although I guess in some strange way, I feel like there's ceiling in Donovan Mitchell at 7K, but maybe there's just not.
Yeah, I'm intrigued at least by the Mitchell price tag, especially if he projects, later in the day to be someone that isn't going to be owned in tournaments. He's like the perfect guy to run it back with Russell Westbrook for correlation. I need to find, when was the last time Utah played? Yesterday. Cool. So we had seen, for a couple of games, we had seen Neto and Exum essentially being out of the rotation, and that continued. So that's good. I think just getting time where you have Mitchell on the floor without Rubio, without any other point guard, even if it's for 4 to 6 minutes, that does give him a chance to be a little bit more productive in the peripherals. So he's not completely reliant on scoring. It's still, for the most part, he's going to be a scoring dependent player, but it's a tough matchup. It is a pace up spot though, and the price tag's pretty appealing. So no issue with Mitchell, but I think that the most appealing way to get him is to just have him paired with Westbrook in some lineups, or George.
Give me that George. Give me both. Love it.
Yeah, or both. I mean, if I'm playing Westbrook and George together, I definitely want like Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about anything else from the Jazz?
Rubio's okay. I don't feel strongly one way or the other.
I like him on FanDuel. Price is solid. Otherwise, I mean, Thunder defense is not something you want to mess with. Thunder defense is what the Jazz think they should be.
Right.
Alrighty, let's get out of here.
Which I did not expect coming into this year with Roberson out.
No, same. I also didn't expect the Jazz to be not as good on defense with the same team back.
Yeah, that too.
I don't know.
How not surprising was it the other day that they just smashed Houston with Rudy Gobert getting ejected? Like they could actually defend the pick and roll by accident.
Yeah, unreal. God, I still love that. I can't believe he got the gate immediately.
Yeah.
Can't get over it. Mavs and Magic. 108.25 implied total for the Mavs. 102.75 for the Magic. Go Mavs, I guess. We'll start on that Dallas side. Pricing on FanDuel is nuts. DeAndre Jordan, 7K on FanDuel, 7,500 on DraftKings. Luka, 6,900 on FanDuel, 71 on DK. Harrison Barnes, 5,800 on FanDuel, 6,500 on DraftKings. I'll have some of those three guys, but no one stands out as just like a guy that I need to smash. And then Wesley Matthews showing 12% expected ownership on DK, $4,600 price tag. No, expected to be no Dennis Smith Jr. tonight. He's doubtful. I don't think that really matters all that much for anyone in this game. So talk to me about Dallas. Is there anything you like?
If you want to take some chances on JJ Barea, then fine. Just keep in mind that Smith was out yesterday and we got 30 minutes from Jalen Brunson. We still got like 18 from JJ Barea. But it's just something that doesn't necessarily mean that today it's not going to be like 24 and 24 or something like that. And Barea at 4,800, we know that if he gets the minutes, he ends up being a very good play. Like if I project him, if I give him 24 minutes right now, he comes in as a pretty strong play. If I give him 18 minutes, obviously he sucks. If I give him like 27, he's one of the best plays on the slate. So obviously don't go there in cash games, but it's just the kind of guy in tournaments where when the difference between JJ Barea having a bad game and a good game is Jalen Brunson playing good or playing 30 minutes, I'm fine with being on Barea at a cheap price tag.
We got a little feedback from chat. A gentleman named John seems like a really nice guy. You guys actually listen to these losers is pathetic. They suck and just blurt numbers out their mouths with no rhyme or reason. Fantastic there, buddy. Fantastic. It's amazing that you're able to find YouTube. So kudos to you with that sort of sentence structure. We should probably go to your show. Whew. Please hang around, though, because if you keep giving us those sorts of messages, you are going to be quite the entertaining figure in chat. Thanks, John. Best of luck to you today. Let's talk Magic, I guess.
Yeah. Nothing really stands out to me from the Dallas side on DraftKings. Yeah. They're all kind of the prices are fine. Like DeAndre's fine. DeAndre actually is probably a pretty decent play if I give him a couple more minutes. But yeah, it's just guys, DeAndre, Luka, Barnes, Matthews, all guys that if they end up in lineups, that's fine. But I'm not prioritizing them.
Your rankings are horrible, LMAO, Josh. Yeah, that's okay.
Do you do rankings?
I assume he means projections. Okay. He probably doesn't know what the difference is. Magic are really not that appealing. I have no more than 4% of anyone. I don't have a single person that I would say like go crazy here. Vooch 8,600 on DK has 10% expected ownership. Fournier at 5,200 has 12, and DJ Augustine at 3,900 has 12. Do you have anybody from the Magic that you're really prioritizing?
No, Vooch is my favorite, obviously, just because he's a monster. But the price tag's just gotten high enough on him where you do have to really keep in mind that he plays like 32, 33 minutes usually. And he's not one of these guys that in competitive games is going out there and giving you 36 or 37. And it just makes a difference in terms of probability of him giving you like a monster game that you want in tournaments, compared to kind of frustrating you because he gave you a good game, but you could have used 5 more points. So he's fine. It's a spot against DeAndre Jordan where I'm not as concerned as I would be for some other guys, since Vooch can step away from the basket, knock down some shots, and that's not going to be a strong suit defensively for DeAndre. But not a huge priority at a stacked center position, with some expensive guys that we haven't gotten to yet.
I wish that I could talk about this game in a different way, but it's just not that appealing. So get out of here. Oh, it's not going to get any better. The Denver Nuggets taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. Nuggets 100.5 implied total. Grizzlies 98. Yuck. Pricing is going to be pretty fun here for the Nuggets. You ready for this one? Trey Lyles 5,600 on FanDuel, 3,700 on DraftKings.
Why? Like I love Trey Lyles, but at least make it like a decision.
What do you do? You got to play him in a ton of stuff, right?
Yeah. If you're just like throwing a lineup together in some large field tournament, you're not max entering it. You're just throwing a lineup in and trying to win it. Don't play Trey Lyles on DraftKings. If you're playing probably the way that you should, and having at least, even if it's not 150, but having like a bunch of lineups, then just play Trey Lyles and be different elsewhere, because it's just he's a productive player. It's a shit matchup, but he's a productive player. The minutes are going to be there. You need him basically to get in foul trouble, get hurt, or have like the worst game of his career to not pay off a $3,700 price tag.
He's got to just physically not go out there. He's got to pull a Stanley Johnson to not hit value at 3,700.
Right. And realistically, like if you're doing like the single lineup in a big field thing and you're not playing Trey Lyles, you probably still want to do something to leverage that, like playing someone from the Nuggets who would benefit if Trey Lyles does sprain his ankle or something. Like it's just so hard for him not to get there.
Who would that be? Like Tyler Lydon or something?
Well, that's the problem. You end up playing like Hernan Gomez or something.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a problem with that. Well, I do at 5,700. Lots of ownership in this game, though. 22% for Jokic on DK at 9,300. Hernan Gomez at 14%. Monty Morris at 13%. The only guy that I really got was Lyles, who was 5,600 on FanDuel. He's priced reasonably there.
And actually, if you're doing it on DraftKings, like the Lyles fade thing, just play Mason Plumlee at power forward. He'll get some minutes next to Jokic. You'd basically just be looking for, Plumlee to go get like 26 and Lyles to die or something. I don't know.
Lyles isn't even severely underpriced. It's just wrong.
Right. It's like DraftKings just forgot about this game.
Yeah. It's the biggest gap in pricing I can remember seeing.
Wait, did you say Denver? You said Denver is at 105 now?
I have him at 100.5.
Oh, okay. I was like, I had him at 100, and I was looking at Trey Lyles' projection, and then just like, I need to add 5 points on the Denver. Yeah.
This John guy's fantastic. A perfect addition to chat. I hope he sticks around. No Jokic for me at 10-1 on FanDuel makes me like really sad. Getting all the feels.
I have him as a good play on DraftKings, just not. I mean, the thing is, he's like in the same price range as Cat, and
it's in the same price range as Embiid.
Yeah, same price range as Embiid. He's what, $900 more expensive than Andre Drummond on DraftKings.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with Jokic. Obviously, the guy has a monster ceiling. It's just it's kind of like the Toronto game where I know you had a lot of them that were going to if you weren't at dinner or something, but yeah. He's the kind of guy that the matchup doesn't really matter in terms of him because he can go off against anyone, but you still have to at least contextualize the rest of the slate. And you can sit here on a show all you want and say, I really like Jokic. But when you're trying to put a lineup together and you have to sacrifice Drummond or Towns or Embiid or someone else at that position, it's a little bit different. And you just kind of have to make decisions. And if I'm going to sit here and tell you I like Jokic more than those guys, then I'd be lying.
Yeah. I mean, Towns and Jokic are separated by $100. I have them separated by 1/10 of a point, and Jokic has more than double the expected ownership of Towns. I shouldn't have to tell you anything else about what you should do in that scenario. Just for those two guys in a vacuum, you should immediately be playing more Karl Anthony Towns than Nikola Jokic. That simple. Since Jamal Murray got the Angry Pirate on Friday or Saturday or whatever day that was, I don't have a ton of interest in him at 76 or 7,200, especially in this game against the Grizz. Do you want anything else from Denver?
No, I was just really quickly pulling up because we're starting to get a still not even semi decent really, but we're getting some more minutes obviously now of Harris and Plumlee off the court. Just trying to see what happens with usage for these guys. Jokic has only played 91 minutes. Still without either of them on the floor this season. 32.9% usage, 39.2% assist percentage, averaging, like 1.5 points per minute still. But, again, it's just a difficult matchup.
Any Grizzlies outside of Slow-Mo maybe at 4,200? I fucking hate this dude.
He's Juancho Hernan-Gomez, like light for me, where I just hate him so much. But no, I mean, so I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is really interesting actually, because we talk about Denver's defense being, pretty decent this year, but Millsap being out does make a difference. I don't think it was a huge coincidence that John Collins just went absolutely nuts against this team. Now you get Jackson, who, if he can stay out of foul trouble, which we know is a huge if, but the price tag, offers plenty of upside at 5,900. I think that he should get, 30 to 32 minutes if he doesn't get in foul trouble. And it's actually a pretty decent spot now without Millsap in there. So, if I'm going to anyone from Memphis, I'm most interested in Jackson.
Man, it scares me. I know foul trouble is like the main tenant here. 27, 15, 21, 23. Those are the minute totals in his last 4 games. A 43 burger, 19 before that. I have a hard time being able to project him for 30 minutes.
Well, I mean, I think it's just the kind of spot where you want to project him to get there and then just make sure that your night doesn't hinge on him. But like nobody's projecting him to get there because everyone's just using, average minutes because of his fouls. It's not like he's he's routinely like getting benched for playing poorly or something like that.
Right. Well, here are my two concerns, and I think you'll probably agree with both of them. Jermichael Green being back now matters, at least a little bit.
Yep.
And this game just sucks. I think that if I gave Jaren Jackson 32 minutes right now, I still wouldn't get him.
Right.
6,900 on FanDuel, 5,900 on DFS. He'd be more palatable on DraftKings, but he's just like really hard to justify. So many things have to go perfectly right.
Joakim Noah being there doesn't do him any favors either.
It should. It doesn't, but it should. Yeah, this is... I cannot believe that Noah is alive and playing in the NBA right now. And
I was really hoping...
like a lot.
For one, I didn't know that he would actually get minutes. But for two, I was hoping that he would just be incredibly ineffective, but he actually hasn't been.
God, Joe Noah, welcome back. I have no interest in this game.
I'm there with you. If I have to play someone from Memphis, it would be Jackson. But like you said, even if you give him 30 to 32 minutes, he's not someone that would be like popping into a ton of my lineups.
Exactly. All right.
Like if I give him 32 minutes on DraftKings, I get him projected for like a little over 33 points.
If I gave him 32 minutes right now, but so Ted in chat says 32 minutes of Jaren Jackson Jr., you'd have to play him. I probably wouldn't have all that much.
Yeah, and if I give him 30 minutes, I get like 31 DraftKings points.
He's very much in play at that point, but this game being such a slog and low-totaled game, I'd have a hard time getting to Jaren Jackson with any sort of volume. I'd have more than the flat 0 that I'm definitely going to have. But...
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think like the easiest way to put it is if we got 30 to 32 minutes from Jaren Jackson, factoring in price, he would easily be my favorite Grizzly.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't translate to like favorite power forward on the slate.
That's a good way to put it. Yes, he would become the clear best option for the Memphis Grizzlies. Anyway, I'm repeating you. Phoenix Suns hosting the Los Angeles Clippers. Suns 104.75 implied total. Clippers 115.25. I guess let's start with Phoenix. You have TJ Warren in?
Not sure. Yes, I do.
Okay. This is not a great spot for Phoenix. I don't really know what to do with this team at this point. I kind of hope Ayton just sits just to open up other weird shit. But do you like anybody here?
As currently projected with Ayton and Warren in, no. Okay. I mean, I would kind of like Ayton just because I do like taking offensively minded centers in this spot. So I would actually like DeAndre Ayton at 6,300 if he's in, but he did, obviously miss practice yesterday, so questionable for this one. If he's out, then Rashawn Holmes I think is really interesting. So yeah, I like those guys, and I think that if Warren's in, you could certainly make a case for him as well at only $6,000. It's just hard to say right now, who I like because we have no idea. And we might not know until the game tips off. So
yeah, for real.
Okay, so Warren practiced yesterday. So assuming Warren's in, yeah, I mean, I think Warren in, like Booker's not playing, obviously. I would assume you get big minutes from Warren like we had been. I think so? He becomes a pretty strong play.
I'm nervous about his minutes in the first one back.
Yeah, I mean, I guess ankle injury, but he didn't miss that long, did he? Wasn't it like 3 games or something?
Let me look. I have it here. 4 games? 5 games. Okay. He hasn't played since November 28th.
Ugh. Hopefully, I started to say hopefully we get news on his minutes, but hopefully we get news on if he's playing or not.
Yeah, I'll have a little bit of Josh Jackson because I hate myself. 5,300 on FanDuel. Otherwise, I'm fine here. I don't like hashing out the DeAnthony Melton, Elie Okobo, whatever else is at the bottom of this barrel.
Yeah, especially because they're not like minimum priced. They're still cheap and they still can beat their price tags, but they're not like literal minimum. Yeah, I mean, I still think the most appealing spot here is going to be either Ayton or Rashawn Holmes.
Yeah. What do you think about the nonsense that Trevor Ariza trying to get traded? Well, they're trying to put together a trade for Ariza to the Lakers.
Oh, good, another wing for the Lakers. Although I think he is a good fit there.
KCP would be the one on his way out.
Right. Yeah.
But,
yeah. I'd rather, if I'm the Lakers, I'd rather have Ariza than KCP.
If you're the Lakers and you give up anything to pick up Trevor Ariza for this year, you're making a gigantic mistake.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah. I just assumed he'd end up back at the Rockets. Yeah.
The Rockets should be trying to get Ariza. Yeah. And actually, like, trying, not like, oh, I hope he falls in our lap.
Let's go to the Clippers side. I like little bits of all of this, oddly enough. I have a little bit more than the field of Tobias. I have some Montrezl Harrell, only 6,700 now on FanDuel, but for reason. I've got some of my boy Lou Will, 5,300 on FanDuel. No matter what I do, no matter how hard I try to nerf Avery Bradley, I still get some Avery Bradley, which is really not fun. Everybody's priced better on FanDuel. So are you looking at any Clippers on DK?
Nothing is a priority. You mentioned Harrell. I do like him now that price tag has come back down. This is a game against Phoenix where I'm not overly concerned about seeing some sort of like Gortat plus Boban plus Harrell rotation. That would be odd. So I'm assuming you get either Gortat or Boban, and then you get a bunch of Harrell against the likes of, Ayton or Holmes or Dragon Bender. If Ayton's out, I don't even know who their backup center is, or their third string center. But
third string center for the Suns?
Yeah, for the Suns.
Dragon Bender, right?
Yeah, I think so. He was the first name that popped in my head. I didn't know if they had someone else just like hiding there. But
I think so. Now that Chandler's gone.
Right. So regardless, it's just not a front court that sets up very nicely for the Clippers to run all three of their centers, which means that you should be able to get around 30-ish minutes from Harrell here, and it should be a pretty productive spot. So I like Harrell quite a bit. Harris and Gallinari, if I get them, I get them. Same for Lou Williams. But Harrell's the one that I think is like most likely to just smash his price tag.
Yeah, 6,700 for Harrell on FanDuel. Same price on DK, man. That's nice on FD.
Yeah.
He was,
especially with power forward.
He was really high in price a week ago.
Yeah, he was one of both sites. Well, DraftKings was slower as usual, but they both pretty quickly got him up to where it was like it was like the Sabonis territory, where it's like, okay, this guy is a monster in terms of per minute production, but at some point I have to stop playing, in his case, 30 minutes of Harrell for like 8K.
He was 8,800 on December 2nd.
Wow, I didn't realize he'd gotten that high.
Yeah, price is down $2,100 in 3 games. And he played 27, 26, and 29 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll happily get back on the Montrezl Harrell train if they're playing Phoenix.
Yeah.
Kind of the way, Ayton is in.
Anyone looking at Popcorn Machine, Harrell did not play 35 minutes. The Clippers did not start 6 players in that game.
Man, I was going to say, no wonder they're at the top of the West. Fucking playing extra dudes. As usual.
Although, I mean, if one of you should be able to when one of them is like Avery Bradley.
Yeah. He'll be in my lineups. I deserve an extra guy when I play him. Hey, John, in case you're interested in joining, use the promo code NBA Strategy for a 7-day free trial. You can get fantastic rankings from yours truly. Let's move on. 2 games left. The late night hammers. 2 fun games, but I'm going to preface this now. We're not doing the Lakers game first. We're doing it second. Y'all take your Dwayne Wade revenge narrative, 15 versus 15 LeBron stuff, and save it. We'll talk about the game for real. Warriors and Timberwolves, though. 118.75 implied total for the Warriors. 108.25 for the Wolves. This is the real Warriors team now. By all accounts, Draymond is back, which means we're getting the Fab Four. Durant, Curry, Draymond, Clay. Much better priced on FanDuel. Durant, only $200 more expensive. Curry, $700 cheaper. Draymond, $300 cheaper. Clay, same price. What do you want to do with the studs?
I don't see getting to, at least on DraftKings, I don't see getting to Curry here very frequently at 9,900. It's not that Curry can't, go out there and give us 60 points. We know that we can. It's just, he's $1,000 more than Kyrie, who I love. I have them projected similarly, so I'm going to just do that. And also Minnesota just has been so much better defensively since picking up Covington. Since that trade as a unit, they've just been much better. So, I think that Curry is fine in tournaments. He has upside. It's just not a priority for me. Really, the same goes for Kevin Durant. It's just back to, for a while it was nice because we knew exactly how this offense would run every night, and you knew that you could project huge games for Kevin Durant. Now you still have to just basically factor in that they will play hot hand. If Durant's making all of his shots, Curry will defer to him. If he's not, Curry won't. And it's just a guessing game. So, there's upside for Durant at 10-1. I think that he's a perfectly fine tournament option because of that, but he's just still not a priority for me over guys in his price range. Klay Thompson, I think, is a little bit overpriced with both of those guys back. Green probably is my favorite guy if he's not going to be restricted, but I kind of assume that he doesn't play. Actually, I don't know.
I have him in for 30 minutes right now.
Yeah, well, it's just like Golden State normally brings their guys back when they're like ready.
Yeah.
And I mean, we got news before Steph's first game back that what was the quote? Like, he doesn't have a minutes limit, but it's unlikely he plays his full minutes. And then he played 37 minutes. So, I mean, I guess I'll assume that Dre plays his normal run, but even doing that, it gets me like a marginal play.
Yeah, I got him in for 30 minutes, and I'm more than double the field. 6,700 on FanDuel. There's so much ceiling there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Curry is my guy though. Here, 9,200 on FanDuel. I got 30% of them on my first crunch. That's double the field. This feels like a really nice Curry spot for that FanDuel price.
Yeah, I love the FanDuel price for sure.
He's the same price as Ben Simmons tonight. I don't see them as even comparable if you're looking for a tournament upside. $500 more than Mike Conley, which is just makes Mike Conley look so unplayable. It's insane. 8,500 for Kyrie is more of a discussion. I like Curry's ceiling significantly more. Kyrie probably grades out for me as like a slightly better point per dollar play. And then otherwise, you're going all the way up $2,000 more to Russ. So if you don't like Russ, Curry's got to be like your favorite point guard on FanDuel.
Yeah, I think I still like Kyrie a little bit more.
I don't have many qualms with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really close.
Yeah, that's a really good spot for Boston.
Yeah.
Durant is fine. The price looks good on FanDuel because of how much value is out there. I end up getting to a lot of the high end of small forwards, and they just sort of just get rotated through. There's just too much talent at the high end of small forward to try to be like, oh, do I want Jabari or Harrison Barnes or Juancho Hernangomez? Like, I'll just take LeBron and Durant and Paul George and live another day.
Yeah.
We're not looking at any other Warrior, right?
Nope.
Okay, let's go to Minnesota. 9,900 for Karl Anthony Towns on FanDuel, 9,200 on DK. I didn't get him at all on FanDuel. I think he's a little bit more reasonable on DraftKings. What do you think about Towns tonight? He's just kind of there.
I love Towns. I always do, and it comes back to bite me in the ass, pretty often. But it's just, if you go through, even in these ugly games that he's had, if you go through and look at the minutes in them, the ones where he's not playing 38 minutes, it's almost always because the game blew out or he was in foul trouble, and that was the case again against Portland. He picked up 2 fouls in the first 3.5 minutes of that game, and so he had to hit the bench. But in competitive games, this guy's playing 38 minutes. Since the Jimmy Butler trade, he has a 28% usage rate with a 20% rebounding percentage. He's averaged slightly over 1.3 fantasy points per minute. I mean, just if you ignore the matchup, ignore everything, 1.3 fantasy points per minute for 38 minutes is almost always going to be a good play as long as the guy is below 10K. And then, it's a matchup that's perfectly fine. So I like Towns quite a bit here. Beyond that, there's not a whole lot that I prioritize. Like Covington, assuming he's back playing 38 minutes, which I would definitely assume in a spot where he has a guy to defend. I think is fine. I think that Teague is fine, but the only guy here that I would prioritize is Towns, and he's one of my favorite plays at the position.
There you go. I don't really have anything from the Wolves side. 5% Teague, 2% Covington, 4% Taj, 4,600. Minutes are slowly going up. Nothing crazy, but just like that extra minute or two could potentially help as a unowned punt play on FanDuel, but I think everybody's just sort of priced where they should be. Towns certainly has some ceiling, but center on FanDuel is just a whole different beast. There's just too many options for one seat at the table.
What did you say his price was on FanDuel?
99. So he's $200 cheaper than Jokic. Only $500 cheaper than Embiid, that's the toughest sell for me.
Right.
And then he's $900 more expensive than Drummond.
I actually hadn't looked. I wonder who I have projected higher between Towns and Embiid.
I have Embiid 6.2 points ahead of Towns.
I have Embiid. God, I'm bad at math. 1.6 points ahead of Towns on DK.
Okay.
I also have Embiid's rates too low, I think.
I have Drummond, Jokic, and Towns all projected for what amounts to the exact same projection.
I think I have
46.
Let me see what I get to now. All right, so now I have Embiid like 4.5 points higher than Towns.
Okay. Are we good on this game?
Makes him a better play. Yes.
Final game. Los Angeles Lakers hosting the Miami Heat. For all you crazy people, this is apparently the last time that Dwayne Wade and LeBron James will ever play against each other. I'm sure they're broken up about it. 112.25 implied total for the Lakers, 105.75 for the Heat. We'll start on the Lakers side. LeBron 11-1 on FanDuel, 10-7 on DK. I mean, I like it. I'll take whatever I get of him. I assume I'll be right around the field.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I mean, I have him projected for like 60 DraftKings points. Yeah. And that is good. The problem, obviously, is that it's not that much higher than I have Embiid. But, I like LeBron quite a bit. I think that the price tag's still too low. I mean, without Ingram and without Rondo, you're looking at like a 35% usage and the 35% assist percentage for James. He's been plenty aggressive. He has the ball in his hands more. He's not playing, all of his minutes with Lonzo Ball, which also gives him more facilitating opportunities. So, I like LeBron quite a bit.
Okay. What do you think of Lonzo at 5,200 on DK? It's hard to get away from that, right?
Yeah.
Heavy chalk, too.
The only person that'll think that's not hard to get away from is Lofty.
Yeah. He's 32% expected ownership on DK right now.
That makes it easier.
Yep.
But also Lonzo is one of those guys that just always seems to kind of come in on the under. I mean, people just don't think he's good. And without getting into that debate, it's still like there's a lot of volatility with him. And so it makes it whenever you have a player like that, you want to certainly be cognizant of ownership. Like Lonzo can easily go out there and disappoint. We saw it in one of the first games when Rondo was out. He was around this price point against, I think it was Orlando, and he was massively owned, and he went out and just played like 22 minutes and sucked. And if you didn't have him, that was good. But so it's certainly something to pay attention to. But we've seen him, against Memphis. Obviously, he only played like 22 minutes. He didn't do anything. But we've also seen games where he goes out there, plays 34, 36 minutes, and if he's going to play in that range, then the price tag's just too cheap in a matchup that is much easier than that Memphis matchup was.
What do you want to do with JaVale? 4,400 on DK. Also, high chalk.
If he's chalk, I'm fine not having him just because of the minutes.
Yeah.
So, like with Lonzo, the concern is obviously if he plays 34 or 36 minutes, even if he just gets, around a point per minute at 5K, if you faded him, you're fading someone who like gave you a legitimately good tournament score. For McGee, it's not quite the same just because his minutes have taken such a hit without or since they got Tyson Chandler. Like you're just really almost never seeing him play more than like 24 minutes or, maybe 26. So even if he gets that and he goes out there and he gives you a point per minute. So let's say he plays 26 minutes, gives you a point per minute, gets you 26 points at 4,400. Sure, he paid it off. But in the context of winning a tournament, you have a guy in your lineup with 26 points, and that's not doing a whole ton to help you. So fading him, I think, is a little bit less scary. Like he would need to just be very, very efficient and get to where, he's averaging like a 1.5 per minute in this spot to give you the raw score that I'd be upset not having him.
Gotcha. Josh Hart, 4,500 on FanDuel, 4,100 on DK. I was on that bandwagon pretty heavily for the first one, not at all for the second one, and now I'm back on again for this third one. What do you think of Hart?
If I get him, I get him. He's just not with this team. He's not gonna ever be a high usage guy. They have too many ball handlers. They have too many guys that need to get their shots. But he's still really cheap, and he's playing 36 plus minutes. We talked about it a couple times that his rebounding numbers this season aren't as impressive as last season, and that makes a ton of sense because he was a direct beneficiary of playing with Brook Lopez, where Lopez would just box out and you'd have Josh Hart grabbing 10 rebounds a night when he played 36 minutes.
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen with this team. And we just have to keep that in mind. But from a point per dollar standpoint, it's still just really difficult for someone to play 36 minutes in a game that is going to have the pace this one should have and to underperform at 4,100. But again, it's just he's unlikely to go out there and give you like a score that you have to have to win a tournament. So if he does project to be very popular, then I don't think he's totally necessary.
I agree.
I
won't prioritize him. I'll take what I can get, and I think that I'll get a decent amount of him.
Yeah, I think it's an example of someone being a better cash play than tournament play, I think.
That's a great. I like the way. Yeah, I agree.
Like, it's not to say that just because someone doesn't have a ceiling, it makes them a cash play. It's that Hart does have a nice floor for his price tag.
Yeah.
It's just that the ceiling for his probable ownership is questionable.
There we go. Anybody else from the Lakers that you're interested in? I don't find Kuzma to be particularly interesting now that he is priced in the mid sevens.
Yeah, his price tag shot up pretty quick, which was disappointing because I was trying to get to him as his minutes kind of shot up out of nowhere, but the price tag pretty quickly followed.
Let's talk Miami. Let's lay this all out first because I think that it's relevant. Wayne Ellington should be back. Goran Dragic should be playing tonight. Tyler Johnson, I believe, is questionable. I have him in for a mild amount of minutes. And then Hassan Whiteside is 100% out for right now. And Josh Richardson is also questionable. Do you have everybody in except for Whiteside right now?
I do, yes.
Okay. There are obviously caveats here that could change up everything for the Heat. But for right now, our only assumption is that Hassan Whiteside will not be playing tonight. So, if Josh Richardson is playing, 6,800 on FanDuel, 6,600 on DK. I've actually got quite a bit on FanDuel.
Yeah, I think he's a perfectly fine play, especially at that price tag and at that position. Like if you're getting off of those stars at small forward, he's the guy that really stands out in what should be a really fast-paced game. I mean, the Lakers obviously get out and run, but Miami kind of quietly has been a top 10 pace this year as well. So, yeah, and he plays big minutes. If he's out there with Dragic, you see a decrease in his assist opportunities. You see maybe a little bit of a decrease in his usage, but still tons of minutes in a really appealing spot.
Makes me happy. Other guys that are popping up for me, it's not really a lot. I don't have much Bam, and by much I mean any. 6,500 on FanDuel tonight. Kelly Olynyk is someone that I'm going to. 5,500 on FanDuel. 5,300 on DK. I mean, this is a really tough team to prioritize if everybody's playing.
Play Bam.
Oh, yeah?
Always Bam.
Always Bam?
Always Bam.
Was it always Bam when he was bageling 2 nights ago in the first half?
Actually, no, because my team was so shitty going into that game that I'd switched from Bam to Kelly Olynyk.
There you
go. But no, I mean, he played 24 minutes in the second half of that game.
Yeah, saw that one coming, certainly.
Yeah. But I mean, seriously, like he's going to play like 32 plus-ish minutes.
I'm significantly more nervous now that James Johnson played 29 minutes.
They don't play the same position.
They kind of do.
No, Bam's like exclusively a 5. Kelly Olynyk is the one in trouble with James Johnson playing more minutes.
I think it's... Okay, I think that Kelly Olynyk is in more trouble than Bam, but it would not shock me if it was James Johnson and Kelly Olynyk playing the 4 and the 5 at some point in time.
Okay, so I think that... So where I think it affects Bam is if Olynyk... So Olynyk is the backup center still. And I think that a normal rotation would be that Olynyk gets those 16 or so center minutes that Bam doesn't play, and then he gets whatever's left at the 4, and that obviously is dependent on how many minutes Johnson plays. Where I think it could hurt Bam is if during the a stretch where Kelly's playing the 5, and if he's just making his shots and he's the hot hand, then you see Bam just kind of not come back in for a while.
Yeah.
So that's where I think it hurts him. But in terms of a normal rotation, especially for someone like Bam, who when he's on the floor, he generally plays very well. And this is a spot that I think really suits him. I think that more often than not, his minutes are going to be fine. And it's just that you're going to get Olynyk going back to not playing a whole lot. So, yeah, I mean, I still love Bam. 5,800 with power, or he's not power 4 anymore on DraftKings. That sucks. That makes it a little bit tougher. But still,
Ted in chat just said Bam is a 5, James Johnson is a 3. You are very, very mistaken.
Yeah, James Johnson's a 4.
Yeah, James Johnson is really a 5.
James Johnson is whatever
for the Heat.
James Johnson can defend every position on the floor.
Yeah, he's 100% not a 3. That much I'll say with certainty. It's like whoever said Nick Stauskas can guard 1 through 4 on Thursday or Friday. Just like, nah.
Yeah, James Johnson can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in basketball terms, James Johnson is whatever the hell position James Johnson wants to be.
Yeah.
In Miami Heat terms, he's a 4.
Yeah. So the only reason that I mentioned it was we got really used to James Johnson playing, 19 minutes a game. And just the fact that they are apparently okay with playing him 29 means that there are 10 minutes out there for someone to lose.
To be fair, he did play 27 or 28 minutes like 6 games ago.
He did.
And then went right back to playing his 20 or whatever. So I think that a very reasonable expectation or outcome is that James Johnson just loses those minutes now the guys are back. And goes back to 20 because he still did not play in the fourth quarter, by the way.
Okay. I don't want this to sound as some sort of indictment. I still have Bam projected for 27 minutes. It just puts a seed of doubt in my head now.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't confident that they were going to run fatty James Johnson out there for big minutes, barring any sort of major issues. So
right.
Now that Bam's price is climbing, and then we have that ability for James Johnson to play a little bit more if everyone is back. I mean, Bam's 6,500. All right, let's play a quick game here. FanDuel pricing. These are all the guys that are kind of close to him. He's the cheapest of this little group, but Bam at 6,500 or Montrezl Harrell at 67.
Bam.
Okay. Draymond Green at 67 or Bam.
Give me a second. Let me just actually pull up my FanDuel projections.
Okay.
Because I think I probably actually have him close to Harrell.
I'm getting roasted here. Josh obviously hasn't been watching Miami play lately. What am I getting clobbered for here?
I'm not sure. There's so many things. I don't think I can pick one.
James Johnson as a 3 is apparently a not positive take. I don't know what to say to that one. Why am I getting roasted, chat?
All right. So, what was it? Bam versus Harrell?
Yes.
I have Bam at 32 minutes. I have Harrell at 30. And if my baseline rates are right on Harrell, then I prefer Harrell.
Okay. Draymond Green or Bam?
Where the hell am I? Bam, but super, super close.
Lauri Markkanen.
Also, I do have Green projected for 34 minutes, and it's still Bam.
Okay. Markkanen.
If I give Markkanen 34 minutes, then it's Markkanen.
Okay. Final one. Bagley. $300 cheaper.
Without even looking, I can tell you it's Bam.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to say it because it was there.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with your point that there's guys around him on FanDuel, and then on DraftKings he does lose appeal because he lost his power forward eligibility finally. But I just think that. So I doubt that I have centers around him on DraftKings that I like nearly as much. Like if I can't get Embiid plus Towns lineups or something like that, I think Bam's probably my favorite like mid-range center.
Okay.
Which I'm trying to confirm right now. But
do you want anybody from the Heat on DK with any sort of volume? Only guy projected for ownership is Richardson at 8%. Everybody else is 2 or less.
Not if everyone's in.
Okay. You know what time it is?
Dwayne Wade?
No, it's Thrive time.
Yeah.
bit.ly/ThriveStrat. We're going to take a look at some player props here. I'm going to drop the link in the chat if you'd like to sign up for Thrive. We're going to plow through a couple props for tonight. Let's get this pulled up. Oh, I hope we find a couple good ones. I always like when there's something that like I know that we're both going to enjoy. All right, first up on the list. Where's a fun one? There, I got to do it. Marvin Bagley, the third. Points plus rebounds, even action on both sides. 18.5. This was a no-brainer.
I got him at yeah, I mean, even if I give him like a 13% rebounding percentage to account for the fact that he's not playing center, I still get him at like 20.
I've got him at 22.5. He does get the 10% boost for being named Marvin. Alrighty. Move on to the next one. This is a big number. All right. 95 points for the over, 105 for the under. Give me the total points, rebounds, and assists for Giannis Antetokounmpo.
That is so dependent on if you think he plays in the fourth quarter. All right. So if I give him, say I give him 30 minutes, hopefully this still gets me over.
44.5 is the total.
23 plus 11 is what, 34? So 34.5, 40. So if he plays 30 minutes, I get to 40.
Okay.
If he plays 34 minutes, I get to
more than 40.
Like 45. So I would need like 34 minutes out of Giannis.
You get extra points for the under too.
Yeah. But also you kind of want to factor in that if he only plays 30 minutes, he probably played 30 very productive minutes.
Yeah.
Man, that's a really good line, I think.
I agree.
I'll take the under because of the points.
Okay. I have him at 43.7, so I have him under, and I'll take the points. Do you have one that you're looking at right now?
No, I'm still playing around with Giannis.
Okay. Steph Curry. Points plus rebounds plus assists.
Ooh. Points plus rebounds plus assists.
The over is 95, under 105. And I am taking the over.
It feels like a pretty strong over.
Yep.
I mean, I have him at 28.8 actual points.
Yeah, I'm at 39.9 total points, rebounds, assists, well above the over.
I just bumped him to 36 minutes, assuming the game stays competitive. So I get him to basically 30 actual points. I mean, I get over 40 out of everything combined.
There we go. Do two more.
You got to do Jaren Jackson, right?
Is he on there?
Yeah. 13.5 total points plus rebound.
Okay. Jaren Jackson. 13.5 points plus rebounds. 105 points for the over.
This is an insanely easy over for me.
Yeah, I've got him at 19.5.
So if I project him for 30 minutes, I get more actual points than 13.5. If I project him for 24 minutes, I'm still sitting at like 17 combined.
I have him projected for 27 minutes. I have him projected for 14.3 raw points.
Right.
So yeah, pound the over for Jaren Jackson.
For me to get the under, I would have to project Jaren Jackson for 20 minutes. Or sorry, that would get me that would get me to 13. It gets me to 14.1 if he plays 20 minutes.
Okay. Give me one more.
Let's see. Lonzo's an easy over, right? 5.5 assists.
Let's find out. I have 6.3.
I have 7.2.
Do you think that Kyrie picks up a steal tonight? The line is a half. 65 points for the over, 135 for the under.
Pace of the game, I'd say yes. I have him at 1.5.
I have him at 1.4. 135 points for the under. I don't know. I'd have to think about the best way to utilize that.
You would have to hope that they stick him on Etuan Moore for the entirety of the or Solomon Hill for the entirety of the game, and that person just does nothing but catch and shoot or not touch the ball.
If he goes over that number 68% of the time, on the dot, that's the midpoint for value. That puts the EV.
Right.
You got to think it's over under 68% to make that a different play. That's insanity. No concept of how often people get a steal.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I think we're done.
Yeah.
NBA Strategy is the promo code, 7-day free trial, plus 24 days of giveaways. If you like and comment your favorite NBA narrative on this show, comments will unlock themselves once this show is completed. You have the ability to win either a free month to the sport of your choosing at awesemo.com or some merch from our shop. If you go to shop.awesemo.com, you can check out the merch. You also have the opportunity, for everybody that's commenting on this stuff, you're getting one entry into a final drawing on Christmas Eve, where we will give away a 1-year full all-access membership to awesemo.com, which is really kind of crazy. That would be a $700 prize. So get in on it. Adam, anything else? I guess.
Yeah, deeper dive at, I'm going to say 4:45, but probably 5 o'clock with Lofty and myself, breaking down all 11 games, more in depth, more news, hopefully available by then.
Yeah. We will have Andrew and Ben at 2:30 recapping this past weekend's NFL, along with a preview of tonight's Monday Night Football game. We'll have myself and Eddie Fear going live before lock from 6 to 7. And Lofty will have the deep dive out, I don't know, in the early afternoon. That's all, everybody. Best of luck tonight. We'll talk to you later.